Hello, and welcome back to Coin Lady channel. In a first in American history, a sitting United States Senator has filed an amicus brief against the SEC. As far as I'm concerned, this is excellent news. Moreover, following what transpired in the SEC versus Ripple case, I just don't see how the SEC is going to come out triumphant in this case either. Coinbase used a number of arguments based on Ripple's, which helped them win the lawsuit. However, the most damaging blow was the realization that XRP is not a security. So, what exactly has the SEC been charging Coinbase with? The assets themselves serve as the security. Good luck with that, man. In addition, you have both houses of Congress working on bill drafts at a rate and with bipartisan support that I don't think we would have expected without the favorable verdict in the Ripple case. Not that I expect anything to be allowed by this government. From what I hear, Vice President Biden is still in command, and he remains as opposed to crypto as ever. It's fascinating to observe the development we've made thus far. As a result, I have heard varying opinions from many sources, such as attorneys James Murphy and Jeremy Hogan. It should also be noted that this particular amicus brief was one of several that were filed around the same time. Consider the Ripple case. Out of the 17 amicus briefs submitted, 15 were with Ripple or XRP or were against the Securities Act. Of the 17. That's great news for us. This has never happened before. Here. They are abundant in your possession. Do you believe Ripple will file a lawsuit in response to the amicus brief Coinbase submitted in the ongoing lawsuit involving the cryptocurrency Ripple? Amicus brief filed in the Coinbase litigation. Sure, that could work. It's conceivable, since it might have an effect on them. You may argue about whether Ripple's scheme is geared at programmatic sales or institutional sales, but the fact remains that Ripple need exchange partners. They have Bitstamp and other exchange partners, so this decision might go either way. The American branch of Bittrex existed until the company collapsed. But in any case, in case you hadn't heard, Sam Bateman has been released from prison. He will be returning to prison. Witness tampering results in bail being revoked. Not that it bothers me to hear that. That person is the lowest form of human life imaginable. But let's not waste any more time and get started. And now we have Eleanor Terrett's tweet about it. In case you missed it, she is a journalist for Fox Business and has written about it. 2 amicus filings in favor of Coinbase were submitted today. The Cryptocurrency Industry Association, Crypto Council, and the Blocked Blockchain Association, Blockchain Association, have joined forces to file a single brief in the ongoing legal struggle with the Securities and Exchange Commission, SEC. Here's what lawyer James Murphy, aka Metal Lawman on Twitter, previously known as I'm Sorry, and formerly known as Twitter, had to say about the current senator, Wyoming Republican Cynthia Lummis. I'm going to say that in reverse. A move to dismiss the SEC's action has been filed, and Senator Cynthia Lummis has filed an amicus brief in defense of Coinbase's. Lummis is a co-sponsor on the crypto regulation bill introduced by Senators Gillibrand and Gillibrand. First, according to Senator Lewis's filing, the SEC lacks the jurisdiction to regulate cryptocurrencies since Congress has not given it to the agency. In case you missed it, this has even more force now. Since the Senate is a part of Congress and Congress is responsible for ratifying executive branch authorities, it would seem that a statement from an active senator would carry more weight. Do you not find that to be somewhat more potent than relying on any old entity, even a respected one? Even on a global scale, this has far more impact. This directly contradicts the SEC's spurious claims that it has jurisdiction over such matters. And Gary Gensler, that's hilarious. It was probably before he became SEC chair, during the nomination process. Around that time, I believe, he publicly asserted that, no, the SEC does not have the authority to regulate cryptocurrency exchanges. But now that he is in a position of authority, he is claiming that he does have such authority and is suing Coinbase and all that nonsense. So there you have it, Senator Lummis flatly rejecting your concerns. You certainly don't. Second, the SEC is not the proper body to define the parameters of crypto regulation in the United States. That responsibility belongs to Congress. Yes, amen, buddy. Murphy is completely right on the third point. The Securities and Exchange Commission's (SEC) assertion that practically all cryptocurrencies are securities "exceeds the SEC's authority, encroaches on Congress's lawmaking, and violates the separation of powers." This is a wonderful development. This is just amazing. And even though Senator Lumens has done a complete about-face, I still have my doubts about her. Less than a year, as of this past December. Perhaps she meant to say that bitcoins are the only thing that doesn't appear like it's a security, or that they're the only commodity, or that everything else is an unlawful security, but anyway, she's implying that everything else is illegal. It's as if a switch was flipped in her head. This pleased me, so there. Yet, I have yet to learn what has caused her to change her mind. She acted on impulse. It's ironic that it's also super powerful. The SEC Ripple lawsuit has been resolved. And we in the XRP community fared quite well. Having established that, Attorney Murphy goes on to explain that Senator Lummis has put a new twist on the term regulation by enforcement by declaring that, quote, "the SEC cannot legislate by enforcement," end quote. Terrific. Jeremy Hogan, an attorney, retweeted this and added that a senator had filed an amicus brief arguing that the SEC had gone beyond the scope of its statutory jurisdiction. First, wow, that makes a strong case. Secondly, that's incredible. My legal opinion is as follows. This was then retweeted by a blockchain advocate who noted that this was the first time a senator has filed an amicus brief in a case opposing the SEC. Absolutely unprecedented moments throughout time. Then there was this intervention from the Chamber of Digital Commerce. Amici Curiae brief submitted. The purpose of my brief in SEC versus Coinbase is to prevent the SEC from regulating the digital asset market without statutory authorization. Absolutely. The writing is on the wall, and I believe Gary Gensler recognizes this. This is why he is targeting AI systems. He's changing subjects now. It appears to me that he is no longer making crypto his top priority, yet this does not mean that he is abandoning his pursuit of whatever it is he has set his sights on. Not that hostility won't ensue. But he realizes that if he wants to continue ascending the career ladder, he needs something else in which he may achieve success and add to his portfolio. The lawyer and chief policy officer of the Blockchain Association, Jake Stravinsky, also chimed in, stating his satisfaction with the amicus brief his organization had filed in support of Coinbase that very day. In his fight against the SEC, a key issue is how digital assets should be governed, a matter that can be settled only by Congress. Until that time comes, the SEC's claim to jurisdiction must be rejected, and Coinbase should emerge victorious. Equally accurate. Miles Jennings, general attorney at Andreessen Horowitz, is here to introduce himself. Andreessen Horowitz and Andreessen Horowitz in Paradigm have joined forces to submit an amicus brief in SEC versus Coinbase, as he explained in an email to them yesterday. We contend that the SEC's strategy constitutes a major and troubling expansion of its regulatory authority, one that even threatens the purchase of Taylor Swift concert tickets and, more importantly, Tesla's Y. The SEC's arguments that every token is part of an investment contract are absurd, and their regulatory overreach has already threatened the growth of blockchain technology in the United States. Furthermore, the XRP community has been arguing for over 2.5 years that the SEC's approach to cryptocurrencies poses a threat to broad economic sectors because it would sweep into its jurisdiction ordinary transactions of assets and collectibles that no one thinks are securities transactions, such as oil, RT, T-Swift, tickets, cars, etc. We were right the whole time, of course, but the security obligation is not the underlying asset. After that, he talks some more. Finally, the SEC is currently trying to regulate digital assets in a way that would outlaw the technology rather than promote its safe development, skipping over Congress in the process. I agree completely. The SEC also has the responsibility of intended to facilitate a capitalization process. The contrary of creating opportunity, this really destroys them. Then there's this, and this should just make your heart feel grasp it, and this should make you feel warm tinglies and fuzziness within all that jazz and nonsense. Here's what CNBC is reporting. Judson's FTX was sent to a Sam Bankman who was fried for interfering with a witness. You're right, you cute crazed son of a B*TCH. Have fun in prison. The following federal prosecutors asked a judge to withdraw FTX co-founder Sam Bankman-Fried's bail on charges of witness tampering, and the judge granted their request on Friday. After a judge in New York, Lewis Kaplan, rejected Bankman-Fried's requests to postpone Benjamin's incarceration pending appeal, he was immediately returned to custody. His criminal trial is scheduled to begin on October 2nd, so he will likely remain in detention until then. And here's what Judge Kaplan had to say about it. There is probable cause to suspect the defendant attempted to interfere with witnesses at least twice, in quotation, as I stated during the judgment. Therefore, he will never be released from prison until his appeal is successful. In fact, I think it's very evident because this. I'm aware that some folks are just cynical conspiracy theorists who insist that justice can't be served because of a web of shady relationships. These same people also made false accusations against Judge Torres. It's already been won. She hasn't ruled on it yet because of their ties, and she's a puppet and this man did something terrible and blah blah blah. And if you believe that Sam Bankman-Fried won't wind up behind bars, you're mistaken. And now we simply have to figure out how long the sentence will be. Will we find that it's too lenient or just right? That, I guess, will be a matter of personal taste for each of us. Even so, I anticipate it will be severe. We'll have to wait and watch what develops here to determine whether or not a decade passes. And of course, we haven't seen all the evidence here, and neither have I. Of course, this assumes that the appeal will be denied. The trial will soon begin, and as it will likely end badly for SPF, he will be sent to prison. So, he may have just witnessed his final day of freedom for decades to come. This human being is a monster, he ruined countless lives. I read a number of articles about this, and they didn't seem to go into much depth in any of them. And no one gave a lot of specifics, which is understandable. To be fair, I didn't read the whole story, but from what little we do know, I may have missed something obvious. But if I can find it quickly, there's one more piece down here that I can give to you. But maybe this was simply them gossiping about me behind my back. I guess we've reached the end of the line here. People are discussing it because I wanted to tell you more about what he had to do, but I couldn't locate anything with as much information as I would have liked. But here's something interesting. Blankman, who is facing multiple counts of wire and securities fraud in connection with the alleged multi-billion-dollar FTX scheme, is allegedly behind this campaign to destroy Ellison, according to the prosecution. This is a good thing. His ex-girlfriend now runs the sister company Alameda Research, and her name is Allison. And thus, it's an effort to undermine Allison by painting her as a victim of press-based witness intimidation. That means there must be something else inside. If only I could locate it. Someone kept a journal. Okay, let's do this. Perhaps this is the concept I had in mind. Sure, have a look at this. The government claimed in the motion asking for Bankman-Fried's custody that the defendant had contacted media members through phone and email over 1,000 times over the course of the previous months. The clincher, prosecutors claim that in December 2022, Caroline Ellison pleaded guilty to federal charges. When her ex-boyfriend, Banker Fried, leaked intimate diary entries of Ellison to the New York Times. Clearly, that was the final straw that broke the camel's back. But, he did mess up, this guy did. I've been saying this for a long time leading up to the SEC versus CB robo ruling. No justice system is flawless. Sometimes justice is delayed or overlooked. But I can assure you that what has to be done is usually done in the United States. In most cases, people get what they deserve. It's a messy procedure, too. Moreover, it isn't always flawless. It can even be the polar opposite of what ought to be done. In most cases, though, the right thing is done, and I have faith that this will be one of those cases. Since we don't live in a banana republic, a betting man would have a good chance of winning if he simply bet that in every single case without knowing any of the details. However, I have no idea who is actually making these purchases. No, I don't give out financial advice. Nothing I say should be used as a basis for a purchase or sale. Please like if you enjoyed the video, and subscribe my channel. See you later, bye.